What do you look for in a player?
Okay, so I'll go to senior level first of all. Okay, so
Okay.
when we talk about a Leicester City player, okay, the manager, what he wants would be like pace, power, some unpredictability, technically efficient, but most of all, he wants players that work hard.
A standout skill. So what's making you better than the other players in your position? Because obviously, if we pick a squad of 18, we can pick two goalkeepers, we pick three centre backs, we pick three full backs, we pick three wingers, two strikers, and five midfielders. So when you come to this level, what we work at, you've got to make sure if you're a centre back, for example, you have to be in the top three centre backs in the country out of all the centre backs. So
Yeah.
to do that, have you got a standout skill? That's number one. What makes you different than everyone else?
This is for Sean. Who is the best player you played with and who's the best player you played against?
More or less finished my career in Orlando. Okay, so I ended up playing with Kaka. So my first day in training, I was on trial, and I don't know how many players here have trialed, but I was running around like a madman trying to make tackles, and Kaka received the ball, and then he put it through my legs, and I was like, he was the best one, and the reason why he was probably the best one also was because he worked the hardest. So I would walk into the training ground with my sunglasses on, flip flops. My t-shirt was rolled up. I was catching a tan. Kaka would come out of the gym and he was drenched in sweat. And I went to one of the players. What's Kaka been doing? And they're like, he's been in the gym for an hour, working on his core, working on his hamstrings. So then it made me realize that the best player at some point in the world was dedicated to his job and, dedicated to football. And then the best player I played against was Cristiano Ronaldo.
What player inspired you to become a professional footballer?
As I was growing up, Paul McGrath was my hero. He played the same position as me. So when I used to go watch the games, I used to watch the player. I used to watch Paul McGrath. Even if the ball was at the other end, I would watch Paul McGrath to see what he was doing. And so he inspired me really to obviously go on and be a defender. And I think that, as young players, you can do that.
Hey, Sean, what was the thing that made you stood out to get scouted?
The thing that stood out for me to get scouted, when I was a young boy, I scored loads of goals. I used to be a striker. So that's when I signed professionally for a club in England. And then as I got older, I kept on moving back. I was really small when I was a centre-back. So when I was under 15, I played under 14s because I was tiny. And then eventually I grew.
Sean, how did you end up getting the job for a scout?
So I used to play for Leicester City. And I just started working part-time. So I'd go to a game on a Saturday, go to a Tuesday. And that was it. And then they asked me to go full-time. And then, so like this season and the season before, so I go to first team games, like in the Bundesliga. I do some under 23 games. I do under 18 games.
And how did you handle criticism when you were playing football?
Went to an away ground. I could be unbelievable. I could be the best player on the pitch. And then they would still boo you. I would go onto Twitter, I'd go onto Instagram, and they would all still call me rubbish. Okay. And this was when I was playing really well. So when I played really bad, they would still say, you're rubbish, you're this and you're that. Okay. So no matter what you do, the opposing fans are always going to say you're rubbish. Do not worry about criticism. Mistakes happen. Okay. So, but everybody's trying their best. So if they make mistakes, be like, don't worry about it. The next time you try to make that pass, make it better. So, encouragement.